Across the endless stars, many species lived and thrived. They built cities, ships, and mighty empires. But among them there was always one fear, one legend spoken in whispers: the Deathworlders. These were not normal beings. They were born on planets where storms never stopped, where beasts hunted day and night, where even the air itself wanted to kill. Only the strongest of the strong could survive such places, and those who did carried the title of Deathworlders with pride. For centuries, the Alien Council declared that their kind was unmatched. They had lived through fire oceans, toxic winds, and predators with teeth like blades. No other species could compare. To them, they were kings of survival, rulers of endurance. Other alien races bowed in respect because who could challenge such monsters of nature? The Deathworlders themselves laughed at the thought, but one day rumors began to spread. A small ship, old and strange, had entered their sector of space. It did not belong to any of the great powers. The hull looked weak, the design simple, as if it came from a backwater world. The Deathworlders paid little attention at first. What could such a fragile ship mean to them? Yet curiosity gnawed at their pride. They demanded to know who dared cross into their realm. The answer was shocking. The ship belonged to a new species, humans. The first images of them were strange. They looked soft, small, and weak compared to towering Deathworlder warriors. Their skin was bare, without scales, fur, or armor. Their hands were thin, their teeth dull. "These are prey, not predators," one alien lord laughed. "They will not last a single day on a true Deathworld." Others agreed, calling them children of a gentle planet. But whispers soon grew louder. A scout had scanned the human homeworld, Earth, and what they found made even the proudest Deathworlder pause. Earth was not gentle, it was chaos. The planet had burned in fire and frozen in ice. It shook with earthquakes and storms that could tear down mountains. Lightning crashed like war drums. Oceans swallowed entire lands. Beasts with claws and venom ruled jungles, and plagues struck again and again. Yet through all of this, humans had not only survived, they had thrived. The council laughed uneasily. Perhaps the data was false. Perhaps the machines had lied. But more reports came, and each one told the same story. Humans had walked with predators, fought monsters bigger than their bodies, faced death from nature itself countless times, and still rose to build villages, cities, and ships that touched the stars. "How can this be?" one Deathworlder elder growled. "They are too fragile. Their bodies are weak." "Yet they live," another replied softly. "And not just live. They multiply. They spread. They endure what should destroy them." The more they studied humans, the more unsettled the Deathworlders became. Unlike other species, humans did not rely on claws or fangs. They used their minds. They made tools from stone, then iron, then fire. They learned to hunt in groups, to chase prey until even the strongest beast collapsed from exhaustion. They had a willpower that frightened even the bravest alien. For when humans faced pain, they did not always run. Sometimes, they smiled. A story was told among the scouts. A human soldier, wounded and bleeding, still carried his friend across a battlefield. Another tale spoke of a woman who crossed deserts with no water, just to bring her child to safety. And again the same word returned. Humans refused to stop. By now, the Council of Deathworlders grew restless. Pride burned in their hearts, but fear scratched at their thoughts. Could it be possible that another species was as dangerous as them? The very idea was insulting. To test the humans, the Deathworlders prepared a challenge. They would invite this strange species into their trials, the trials that had made them legends. There, in storms of fire and beasts of nightmare, humans would finally break. But deep inside, some wondered, what if they did not break? What if these fragile-looking creatures truly belonged among Deathworlders? Or worse, what if they surpassed them? And so, as the first human delegation entered the grand hall of the council, every alien eye turned toward them. Small figures in plain suits, faces calm, eyes steady. They did not look like monsters. They did not roar like predators. Yet in their silence there was something unsettling, something ancient, something dangerous. The Deathworlders laughed to hide their unease. "Let us see what these humans are made of," their leader declared. "Let us show them what true survival means." But as the humans stood tall, their eyes reflecting a fire older than the stars, one question echoed through the chamber, unspoken yet heavy in every mind. Had they just invited their own replacements? The Deathworlders had expected weakness. They had expected trembling hands, soft voices, and begging eyes. But when the humans entered the council chamber, there was none of that. Their steps were steady, their shoulders straight. They looked around calmly, as if standing in front of the most feared species in the galaxy was nothing unusual. It unsettled the Deathworlders. Predators sensed courage, and what they saw in the humans was not arrogance, it was something worse. It was confidence. The leader of the council, a towering beast with claws that could rip stone, leaned forward. His voice rumbled across the chamber. "Humans, you stand before the Deathworlders. Do you know what that means?" The humans exchanged glances, then one stepped forward. His uniform was simple, not like the golden armor of alien lords. His voice was calm. "It means we are honored to meet you." A ripple of laughter filled the room. "Honored?" The alien leader sneered. "You do not understand. We are the strongest. No world is harsher than ours. No people endure more than us. You are nothing but children of a soft planet." The humans did not argue. They did not bow. They only listened. And when the alien finished, the human smiled faintly. "If you believe that, then test us." The council fell silent. Aliens glanced at each other in disbelief. No one challenged the Deathworlders, not openly. Yet this small creature had spoken the words without fear. That night, whispers spread through the city. Some aliens mocked the humans. Others worried. Because there was something strange about their silence. They were too calm, too still, as if they had seen worse and did not need to speak of it. The next day, the council demanded proof. They asked for records of Earth's history, expecting to laugh at simple struggles. But as the data was shown, the laughter stopped. The holoscreen lit up with images. Great floods swallowing civilizations, volcanoes spitting fire into the sky, ice ages covering the world in deathly white. Earth was not gentle, it was cruel. The aliens saw beasts with claws like swords and jaws wide enough to crush bone. They saw humans fighting with nothing but sharp sticks and fire, facing monsters far stronger than them. They saw endless wars, plagues, and disasters that should have ended their species many times over. Yet every time humans endured, one alien lord growled, "This cannot be true. No fragile body could live through this." But the humans did not defend themselves. They only watched the screen quietly as if all these horrors were just memories. Nothing worth boasting about. That silence was more terrifying than any roar. The council then ordered a direct test. They took the humans to a training ground where Deathworlder soldiers proved their worth. The arena was filled with burning sand, poisonous air, and heavy gravity. Many species had collapsed here, but Deathworlders used it to train their young. The humans stepped in without hesitation. The gravity pulled at their bones, the air burned their lungs, but they kept walking. One stumbled, then stood again. Another coughed blood, but refused to stop. The Deathworlders watched with narrowed eyes. Then came the beasts. Large predators with spiked hides and venomous teeth were released. They roared and charged. Most species would have run. The humans did not. They spread out, shouted to each other, and worked as a unit. They used simple tools, teamwork, and speed. In minutes, the predators were down. The arena fell silent. The Deathworlders were not impressed easily. Yet what shook them was not only the victory, it was how the humans fought. They did not fight for glory. They fought for each other. Every move was to protect a comrade, to cover a friend, to ensure none were left behind. The council leader's claws dug into the stone throne. He had seen many warriors, many species, many battles, but never had he seen such loyalty combined with such willpower. Later, in private chambers, some lords whispered uneasily. They should not have survived. They did more than survive, another said grimly. They adapted. The question spread through the halls. Were humans truly weak, or had everyone underestimated them? And as rumors spread to the outer colonies, fear grew. Some alien captains claimed they saw humans endure radiation zones that melted other species. Others swore they watched a human soldier fight with broken bones and still win. The Deathworlders tried to laugh it off, but their voices were less certain. Deep inside, they knew the truth. These fragile-looking creatures were not prey. They were something else, something dangerous. For the first time in centuries, the Deathworlders felt a chill run down their spines. A thought they never wanted to believe now whispered in their minds. What if we are no longer the only Deathworlders? The Deathworlders were unsettled. They had laughed at humans, mocked their soft skin and weak bones. But after seeing them endure the arena, after watching them fight as one, Unease began to spread. Still, pride burned strong in the hearts of the Deathworlders. They would not allow these newcomers to shake their throne, so the council announced a greater challenge, the test of pain. It was an ancient trial, older than the council itself. Few survived it. Even among Deathworlders, only the strongest warriors dared enter. The trial was simple. Survive everything the world throws at you. Poison rivers, burning storms, beasts born of nightmares, endless darkness. The weak died quickly. The strong crawled out broken but alive. To pass was to be marked as a true Deathworlder. The aliens were certain the humans would fail. Their bodies were too fragile. Their spirit would shatter. This was no place for soft-skinned creatures. When the announcement was made, silence filled the human ranks. Then one of them, a man with calm eyes, stepped forward. He spoke in a steady voice. "We accept." The chamber echoed with laughter. "You will beg for mercy," the Deathworlder leader roared, "and none will come." The next day, the humans were taken to the trial grounds, a valley of fire and death. The air shimmered with heat, the rivers bubbled with acid, and the ground shook with the movement of predators hiding in the shadows. Above, the sky flashed with storms, lightning striking down like spears. The Deathworlders gathered to watch, filling the cliffs around the valley. They were eager to see the humans break, eager to hear their screams. The gates opened. The humans stepped inside. At first, the valley greeted them with silence. Then the pain began. A storm of acid rain poured down. Drops burned through clothing, searing flesh. The crowd leaned forward, expecting panic. But the humans did something strange. They covered each other, shielding the weakest with their own bodies. Their cries of pain were real, but they kept moving. Step by step, they pressed forward through the storm. One Deathworlder elder frowned. They do not scatter. They cling to one another. The trial grew harsher. Predators rose from the ground. Beasts with spines of bone and jaws wide enough to swallow a man whole. They charged. The humans did not run. They spread out, shouted commands, and attacked together. Spears made from broken rock were hurled. Knives of sharpened metal struck deep, and flames were lit from the storm's fire. The predators fell one by one, not to strength but to strategy. The audience grew restless. This was not how prey behaved. This was not weakness. Hours passed. The humans bled, limped, and gasped for breath. The valley offered no mercy. Poisoned air made lungs scream, and every step cut their feet on jagged stone. But still they moved forward. A woman collapsed, but two men lifted her and carried her on. Another fell behind, but his comrades turned back, refusing to leave him. The Deathworlders stared in disbelief. Their own warriors often abandoned the weak. To them, survival meant leaving others behind. Yet these humans fought for every single one of their own, even when it slowed them down. "What madness is this?" one alien hissed. "It is not madness," another muttered. "It is something stronger." At last, the final horror appeared. A storm unlike any other roared across the valley. Winds that tore up the ground, lightning that split the sky, fire swirling like serpents. This was the true end of the test of pain. Even the bravest Deathworlders had died here. The humans stood together. They wrapped arms around each other, forming a wall of bodies against the storm. Step by step, leaning on one another, they walked into the chaos. Their screams of agony filled the air, but their legs did not stop moving. The Deathworlders leaned forward, waiting for the moment they would fall. But it never came. Hours later, when the storm finally broke, figures emerged from the smoke. Burned, scarred, bloody, yet alive. Every human who had entered had come out. Not one was left behind. The crowd was silent. The Deathworlders had expected victory, expected proof of their supremacy. Instead, they were forced to watch something they had never understood. The strength of unity. The human leader raised his head, his eyes burning with pain and pride. "Is this your test of pain?" he asked, voice raw. "We have lived with pain all our lives. You cannot break what is already unbroken." The Deathworlder Council sat frozen. Their pride told them to laugh. Their hearts whispered fear. For in the humans they saw not just survivors, but something far more dangerous. Creatures who refused to surrender, no matter the cost. And as the valley lay in ruins, a new thought spread through every alien mind, chilling and unshakable. If this is how humans endure pain, what will they do when they fight for victory? The Deathworlders were shaken. They had seen the humans survive the test of pain. They had watched them crawl out of firestorms and poison rivers, scarred but unbroken. The trial that was meant to crush their spirit had only revealed something terrifying. Their willpower was stronger than any weapon, but pride is a cruel master. The Council of Deathworlders refused to accept defeat. They whispered to one another in shadowed chambers, their voices dripping with rage. "They are not like us," one snarled. "They cannot take more than we can. They have limits. We must find them. We must break them." So they devised new trials. Trials no species had ever faced before. The humans were dragged from their rest, their wounds barely healed from the last ordeal. The alien guards led them into a chamber of iron and stone. The ground trembled. From hidden gates, cages opened and new horrors stepped out. Creatures engineered for war. Beasts with metal claws and armored hides designed to kill anything that breathed. The Deathworlders expected fear, but the humans did not flinch. They formed ranks, their leader raising a hand. With simple signals and shouts, they moved as one. The monsters attacked, but the humans fought back with a fury that stunned the crowd. They used not just strength but cunning, turning the beast's weight against them, setting traps, luring them into each other's jaws. Minutes became hours. Blood stained the stone. Human blood, alien blood, beast blood. It all mixed on the floor. And still the humans stood. The council grew restless. More, they demanded. "Push them harder." The next day, the humans were placed under crushing gravity, 10 times heavier than Earth's. Their bodies should have collapsed, bones snapping under the weight. Yet somehow, slowly, painfully, they rose to their feet. They staggered, knees trembling, but they would not stay down. Together they took one step, then another. Their sweat poured like rivers, their muscles tore, but their eyes never lost that steady fire. The audience was unsettled. "They should not be moving," one muttered. "Even our champions collapse under such force." But the humans did move, step by step crawling. Dragging each other when legs failed, they crossed the chamber and stood at the far end. By now, whispers spread across the stars. Stories of humans were retold in hushed voices. They endure storms. They survive poisons. They walk under crushing skies. Who are these creatures? The Deathworlders, furious, raised the challenge once more. This time they targeted the humans' minds. They placed them in chambers of endless darkness. No sound, no sight, no warmth. Days passed. Weeks. The Deathworlders expected madness, screams, despair. But when the doors finally opened, the humans stepped out, eyes hollow, bodies weak but still together. Some had whispered to each other in the dark to keep hope alive. Some had sung songs. Others had spoken of home, of earth, of family. Their minds had bent under the weight of silence but had not broken. For the first time, Deathworlders began to whisper a word they had never spoken of themselves: fear. The humans had been pushed past limits that should have killed them. They had faced beasts, storms, poisons, gravity, and darkness. And each time, instead of breaking, they had adapted. Instead of surrendering, they had endured. The alien council gathered again. The chamber was heavy with silence. Their leader, his claws scarred from anger, finally spoke. "This cannot continue. They make us look weak. If the galaxy sees them as stronger than us, our throne crumbles." Another elder leaned forward. "Then what do you suggest? They have survived everything. What is left to test?" The leader's eyes glowed with fury. "We will not test them. We will destroy them." But even as those words were spoken, doubts grew in the hearts of the council, because in truth they all knew what they had seen. Humans were not unbreakable because of their muscles or claws. They were unbreakable because of something deeper, something the Deathworlders had never understood. Humans fought for more than survival. They fought for each other, for home, for love, for a tomorrow they refused to let die. That was their strength. That was their weapon. And as the humans prepared for whatever came next, scarred but standing, the galaxy watched with wide eyes. The question was no longer if humans could survive. The question was, if they cannot be broken, how far will they rise? The Deathworlders had reached their limit. They had pushed the humans with storms, poisoned air, monsters, darkness, and crushing gravity. They had expected to see fragile bodies torn apart, weak spirits begging for release. But what they witnessed was something that no alien could explain. Humans did not only survive, they endured together. They bled for one another, carried each other, refused to abandon anyone. That truth began to spread like fire through the galaxy. On distant colonies, soldiers whispered of humans. Merchants spoke of them in hushed tones. They do not fight for power, some said. They fight for each other, and that makes them unstoppable. The Deathworlder Council grew uneasy. If fear spread too far, their reign of terror would weaken. So they chose one last test: open war. Armies of Deathworlders were gathered, their strongest warriors in shining armor, their greatest weapons ready. They would crush humanity in battle once and for all. The galaxy would see their power restored. The humans were given no choice. They were sent to the battlefield, a wasteland of jagged rocks and burning skies. From the cliffs above, thousands of Deathworlder warriors roared, their voices shaking the ground. They believed victory was certain. The humans stood in the valley below, few in number, their weapons simple compared to alien machines. To the watching crowds, it looked like slaughter waiting to happen. Then the horns of war sounded. The Deathworlder armies charged, massive and terrifying. Their weapons split the ground, their warriors roared like thunder. Against them, the humans looked like insects. But when the charge struck, something unexpected happened. The humans did not scatter. They did not panic. Instead, they moved with discipline. Shields rose, lines held, voices shouted orders. They fought not as individuals, but as a living wall. A Deathworlder beast slammed into their front. Instead of breaking, the humans absorbed the strike, pulling the wounded back, closing ranks instantly. Their unity was terrifying. Every man and woman fought not for themselves, but for the one beside them. Hours passed. The battlefield became a storm of fire and blood, and still the humans held. Their faces were grim, their bodies broken, but their will unshaken. High above, alien lords who came to mock now leaned forward in silence. They had never seen such fighting. To them, strength was measured by how much one could take alone, but humans measured strength by how far they could go together. One Deathworlder general growled, "This is not possible." "They are weak." Another whispered, "Weak? Look again. They are stronger than all of us." As the war raged on, Deathworlders began to notice something else. When one of their warriors fell, their comrades left him behind. But when a human fell, others rushed to shield him. When a soldier collapsed, another lifted him. They wasted energy to protect the weak, and yet somehow it made them stronger. Slowly, fear inside the Deathworlders twisted into something else. Respect. They began to see not prey but warriors, not fragile creatures but beings forged by suffering. At last, when the battlefield grew quiet, the humans still stood. Fewer than before, bloody and battered, but standing. The Deathworlder Council, watching from above, could not deny the truth. These beings had endured every trial, every challenge, every horror that was thrown at them. And in the face of overwhelming armies, they had not broken. Silence hung heavy. Then from the crowd of Deathworlders, a sound rose. Not anger, not laughter, but something unheard for centuries. A slow, steady rhythm of fists against armor. A salute. A sign of respect. One by one, more joined in. The noise grew louder, echoing across the valley. Even those who hated humans could not deny what they had seen. The predators of the galaxy, the self-proclaimed Deathworlders, were now saluting their rivals. The human leader raised his head, blood running down his face, and met the eyes of the council. He did not smile. He only said in a voice steady and calm, "We do not want to be your enemies, but if you seek to test us, know this, we will never fight alone." Those words struck deeper than any blade, because the Deathworlders realized the truth. No species that stood together so fiercely could ever be conquered. From that day, whispers across the stars changed. Fear was still there, but alongside it grew a new word: respect. The galaxy had begun to see humans not just as survivors, not just as fighters, but as something more, something even Deathworlders could not ignore. And deep inside, every alien who had witnessed that war knew the truth: humanity was not done yet. The battlefield had changed everything. What was meant to prove human weakness had instead revealed human strength. The Deathworlders had watched them fight with unity, endure impossible odds, and rise from pain with unbreakable will. Respect had begun to spread, but pride still burned inside the council. The Deathworlders could not accept that humans were their equals. Not yet, so they announced one last challenge: an arena of champions. Not beasts, not storms, not endless armies. This would be the final trial, where the strongest Deathworlder warriors would face humanity's finest in front of the entire galaxy. It was meant to be the end. The arena was massive, carved into the heart of a mountain, with seats for millions. Every corner of the galaxy tuned in. Alien ships hovered in orbit, broadcasting the event across the stars. This was more than a fight. This was a declaration. Who truly deserved the title of Deathworlders? When the Deathworlder champions entered, the ground shook. They were giants, taller than any human, with armored hides and weapons forged from star steel. Their roars echoed like thunder, and the crowd trembled with excitement. These were the living symbols of power, the warriors who had never been defeated. Then, the humans walked in. They looked small in comparison, scarred men and women in simple armor, weapons plain but steady in their hands. They did not roar. They did not try to intimidate. They only stood side by side, eyes forward, silent and ready. The contrast was unsettling. The champions seemed like beasts of war. The humans seemed ordinary. But those who had seen them fight before knew better. Behind those calm faces burned something far more dangerous than size or strength. The horn of battle sounded. The Deathworlder champions charged, shaking the arena with every step. The ground split beneath their weight, weapons flashing in the firelight. To the crowd, it looked like humans would be crushed in the first strike. But then, humanity unleashed. The humans moved faster than expected, dodging strikes that could shatter stone. They spread out, weaving between the giants, striking not with brute force but with precision. Blades cut at weak spots, spears struck joints, and shields blocked blows at the last possible second. The champions roared in fury, swinging harder, faster. But the more they fought, the more the humans adapted. They learned every movement, every habit, every flaw, and used it. One by one, giants stumbled. One by one, they fell, the crowd gasped. This was not luck. This was skill, sharpened by countless generations of struggle on Earth. The humans fought as predators of predators, creative and relentless. But what shook the arena most was not their speed or strategy. It was their will. A human was struck down, ribs shattered, blood spilling onto the ground. Any other species would have stayed down. But he rose again, dragging himself to his feet, eyes blazing. Another fell, but his comrades shielded him, buying him time to recover. Every time a human should have stayed broken, they got up. Every time defeat seemed certain, they fought harder. The Deathworlder champions began to falter. For the first time, fear appeared in their eyes. They were larger, stronger, bred for war. Yet these humans refused to yield. They fought with something no beast and no warrior could match. Unity. Hours passed. The arena floor was covered in scars, weapons shattered, bodies bloodied. But when the dust cleared, the impossible had happened. The humans stood, scarred, gasping for breath, leaning on one another but standing. And around them, the Deathworlder champions lay broken, defeated for the first time in history. Silence fell across the galaxy. Millions watched, unable to believe what they had seen. The species they had once called fragile, weak, unworthy, had done the impossible. They had beaten the unbeatable. The human leader stepped forward, raising his weapon high. He did not roar. He did not boast. He only spoke with a voice that carried across the stars. We are not here to take your title. We are here to remind you of what it truly means. To endure, to rise again, to fight together. That is humanity. The crowd erupted, some in anger but many in awe. The salute began again, fists against armor, steady and strong. Respect, not fear, echoed louder than thunder. The Deathworlder Council sat frozen. Their pride was shattered. Their champions had fallen. And deep inside they knew the truth they had tried to deny. Humans were no longer just another species. They were Deathworlders, perhaps greater than any who had come before. And as the galaxy watched the scarred warriors of Earth lift their heads to the stars, one chilling thought spread like wildfire. If this is what humanity is today, what will they become tomorrow? The arena was silent. The dust still floated in the air. The ground cracked and stained with blood. The Deathworlder champions, giants feared across the stars, lay defeated. And yet the humans still stood. Not tall, not shining, not perfect. They stood scarred, limping, leaning on each other. But they stood. For the first time in centuries, the Council of Deathworlders had no words. Their champions had never fallen. Their title had never been questioned. They were the rulers of survival, the masters of endurance. But now as they looked at the humans below, they felt a truth they could not deny. Humans had survived every trial. They had endured storms, poisons, darkness, beasts, armies, and champions. They had faced pain that should have broken them 100 times over. But still they rose again and again, and the galaxy had watched it all. Billions of eyes had seen the impossible become real. The title of Deathworlders no longer belonged to the proud council. It belonged to the species that had proven it with blood and will, the humans of Earth. A heavy silence hung in the chamber of the council. Finally, one elder, his voice low and shaken, spoke words that burned like fire. "They are Deathworlders now." The chamber erupted. Some shouted in rage, refusing to believe. Others lowered their heads, knowing it was true. The weight of pride fought against the weight of proof. But in every heart the answer was clear. The humans had earned the title. Far below, the human leader stood among his people. He looked up at the watching crowds, eyes calm despite the blood running down his face. His voice carried across the arena, carried through every broadcast, reaching every corner of the galaxy. "We did not come here to take your throne. We did not come here to claim your pride. We came here because you challenged us. You wanted to see who we were. Now you know." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the alien millions. "We are human. We are survivors. We are family. And no matter what world we stand on, we will never break." The words hit harder than any weapon. For the Deathworlders, it was a reminder of what true strength meant. They had thought strength was power, claws, and muscle. But humans had shown them a different truth. Strength was unity. Strength was sacrifice. Strength was rising again when the universe tried to keep you down. Slowly, from the crowd, the salute began once more, fists against armor. The sound was soft at first, but it grew louder, spreading through the arena, through the cities, through the stars. Aliens who once mocked humans now honored them. Not as prey, not as weaklings, but as equals. Some even whispered a darker thought, perhaps more than equals. The council, broken in pride, had no choice but to bow their heads. The leader, his voice heavy, finally declared, "From this day humanity shall carry the title. They are Deathworlders, and none will challenge them." The galaxy shook with those words. It was history being written in fire. Humanity, once dismissed as fragile, had climbed to the very top of the ladder of survival. But the story did not end there. As the humans prepared to leave, whispers filled the air. Some aliens spoke with awe, wondering what humans would do next. Others spoke with fear, warning that if humans could rise so fast, they could one day dominate the stars. The humans did not answer those whispers. They did not boast or threaten. They only walked together, carrying their wounded, standing tall despite their pain. That silence was louder than any roar. It told the galaxy everything they needed to know. Humanity had arrived, and as their ships left the arena world, every alien who had watched was left with the same haunting question. If this is what humans are now, at the beginning of their journey into the stars, what will they become in the centuries to come? Some feared the answer. Some hoped for it. But none doubted it. The age of the Deathworlders had not ended. It had only just begun. And its name was humanity.